It will be months before the only road to Takaka is back to normal. One lane was opened yesterday. The job of clearing slips and rebuilding entire sections of road will extend into winter as the aftermath of Cyclone Gita becomes very apparent. There is more misery for businesses in Kaikoura. Boy, they've had a rough couple of years as well, with news the gigantic slips brought down north and south of the town in last week's storm, and they won't be fully cleared until the end of this week. State Highway 1 and the train line. Colin Young reports.
Access to Golden Bay and the 6,000 people who live there has now been re-established in the form of a twice-daily convoy, one at 7 in the morning, the other at 5 at night, taking freight and light vehicles in both directions across the single lane that's been established around and over numerous slips. Starting at 5 this evening, those towing caravans and boats will also be allowed across. The Transport Agency is predicting the long-term repairs to the road will stretch into winter. For Golden Bay businesses relying on tourists who are now in peak season, the bad press the bay has received in recent days has been fatal. Here's the owner of the Pohara camping ground, John Tate.
Oh, it's a shocker. I mean, normally this time of the year the count would be 3/4 full. You know, like last night we probably had about 20 people here. So, you know, it's damaging, you know, all tourism. I would say the whole of Golden Bay, which is a real shame, as I was saying. You know, everything's open and everything's just fine over here. It's just getting here.
John Tate wants the Transport Agency to amend its notice to drivers, which at the moment says only those needing to urgently travel over the hill should make the trip. The agency's Frank Porter says those wanting to visit the area should still make the trip, with this caveat.
Oh, you should certainly consider it. All we're saying is that we just can't absolutely guarantee that you might get out on the day that you plan to get out. The whole of that hillside on the Ruoka side, you know, it is really fragile. And we're expecting that if we get, say, 50 millimetres of rain or something like that we may have to close the road.
The last part of the country to feel the force of Cyclone Gita was the Kaikoura coast, where the impact has been just as great as Golden Bay. Some hillsides already made fragile by earthquakes were hit with up to 200 millimetres of rain in a short space of time. Today it was announced the main road north and south of the town will remain closed until at least Sunday, due to massive slips to the north and the road going out through the Hunterleys to the south. The Transport Agency's Tim Crow says they were surprised at how much material came down from the hills.
We did know there was a lot of material in the hills, but you know, the size of Jacob's Ladder was quite surprising. However, you know, that's what we're discovering. Until the hills stabilise, we'll be expecting some of these events. So this year we'll try and engineer our way out of them.
Dennis Berman's Kaikoura Encounter business offers tourists the chance to swim with dolphins. He says while visitors can still get into the town via the inland route, many are put off making the trip because of the extra travel time. As a result, the business in his cafe has halved since Gita came calling last week.
We're still getting people coming in, but lots of rearranging of plans, lots of cancellations. But I suppose we've been really impacted in the likes of our cafe, where you're fully staffed this time of the year and you have all your staff just standing around with not a lot to do because we're not getting the through traffic.
Mr Berman says it's a cruel blow after what was shaping as a record season for the town, following a year out of action due to the earthquakes. The Transport Agency will confirm on Wednesday exactly when the road will reopen. While it hopes this will happen on Sunday, any more rain than is already forecast could push things out further. For Checkpoint, ko Colin Young Tene.
Because the pictures really are striking. That's a hell of a slip.